Hello there, listeners. It's your pop culture maven, Jeff Malone. I wanted to check in with everyone, see how you're doing. It's February. Are you doing okay? It's cold, unless you're in the southern hemisphere. Although I suppose if you're in the most southernmost part of the southern hemisphere, i.e., Antarctica, it still might be cold. But yeah, it's the winter is tough to get through. And if this podcast helps you out at all, well, I'm happy to be of service, and Aunt Beth is too. But it's just me on the microphone today because it's a mini episode. It's a What's Jeff Watching mini episode, the 14th edition. Remember when you turned 14? Or maybe you haven't yet. But hopefully it'll be a good one, or hopefully it was a good one. If it's already happened for you, when I was 14, I started wearing corrective eyewear for the first time. Yes, I have not worn prescription glasses my entire life, only about 2/3 of my life so far. And how appropriate that I mentioned that, because since I've worn glasses, TV shows and movies have become less blurry. So I think, if I continued to just squint through life, I still would have been as much of a film buff and TV obsessive as I am now, but I might have gotten more headaches along the way. So I think it all worked out in the end. But anyway, so yeah, the What's Jeff Watching mini episodes, I've been doing them, I don't know, about a year so far. And they're just opportunities to check in with some thoughts about stuff I've been checking out that Aunt Beth and I haven't committed to for a full episode, whether it's because only one of us has been watching, or just it's just in its early stages and we can't give a full contextual assessment of it yet, or just because we haven't it's a big commitment to do a full episode on it, and we're just a little too tired, I guess, sometimes. But yeah, so the mini episodes, the mini What's Jeff's Watching, just low key, cool. You can check in and listen if you'd like, and you can send your thoughts in on these shows to our social media channels, or you could email us, or you could text us if you happen to have our phone numbers. But don't ask for them over by calling into the podcast, mainly because we don't have a call and we don't have a podcast phone number. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. On to some thoughts on TV shows and movies. So anyway, maybe I should rename these mini episodes, because sometimes I talk about what Aunt Beth has been watching too on them. I check in with her and I'm like, do you want me to mention anything? And usually she does. So yeah, she texted me yesterday, and so here's her thoughts. So she recently just finished up two good shows, True Detective Night Country, and that's on HBO and Max. And One Day, I've been hearing about this. I know it's based on a movie that came out in, I want to say, like 2011 or thereabouts, and Anne Hathaway starred in it, and it's based on a book that the movie was also based on as well. Yeah, so I think the idea is it's about each episode is the same day but a different year, or the same date as it were. And we just keep on checking in on two characters and seeing how it's going with them. Yeah, I've heard other people talking about that, and Beth liked it too, apparently. And what else did she mention? She liked Genius, MLKX. I've been seeing that get promoted a lot. She watched this movie on Hulu called Self-Reliance, which stars Jake Johnson. I've heard about this because Jake was on Comedy Bang Bang promoting it. Yeah, and Beth said it's a crazy movie. So yes, she just called it crazy. She didn't specify whether it was good crazy or bad crazy or just crazy crazy. Maybe I'll have to follow up with her and find out. But it's got some good people in it. Also Anna Kendrick and Andy Samberg. So yeah, it might be worth checking out. And what else did we got here? What else did Aunt Beth tell me? She yes, okay. Otherwise, she's getting back into the new winter schedule with many of her returning favorites: Abbott Elementary, American Idol, So Help Me Todd, and Survivor. And I am doing much the same as well because the strikes are over and the writers and actors have finally had enough time to get caught up and put out some new episodes of regular favorites. So yeah, that's how that goes. So I'm definitely getting back into the swing of things. There's no time to get caught up on stuff. TV viewing is just as busy as ever. So that's the deal. And I was getting prepared for this episode. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about because I've been watching a lot of college basketball recently. March Madness is just a month away. Selection Sunday is coming up very soon, so but I'll save that talk for the March Madness recap episode we've got coming up later. But yeah, so what else I've been watching? So Resident Alien came back. Aunt Beth didn't include that in her text, but I'm guessing she watched it. I think it's come back pretty strong. Just one episode has aired as of me recording this. Another one will have aired as well by the time you're listening. And Feud with the second season of Feud. It's been a while since the first season, but this second season is it's called Capote versus the Swan. It's been pretty solid so far. And I watched an old movie. I mean, I guess this qualifies as old. It's more than 20 years old, but it's weird to think that a movie that came out when I was a teenager is old now, but I guess it is. There are people in their early 20s who weren't born when this movie came out. I'm talking about the 2003 version of Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. And I had never watched it before. And I was talking with my sister and wondering why I didn't watch it, why I didn't go see it in theaters when it originally came out. Because I was a fan of Lindsay Lohan as soon as The Parent Trap came out. And then I realized around that time, August 2003, I was in the hospital for about 5 days because of an infected blister on my foot. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that on mic before, but yeah, that's why I missed a few movies around that time, I think. And for some reason, I never got around to it until just within the past few weeks. But I'll wrap this episode up with two highlights that I really want to mention. So Disney and also Warner Brothers, but have been re-releasing some movies that came out in some of the earlier days of the pandemic, and I think it was an excellent idea to do so. So Disney and Pixar, they've re-released thus far Soul and Turning Red, and then Luca will be coming back to theaters in March, I believe, March 22nd, I think. Yeah, March 22nd. Soul came back out in January and Turning Red in February. So Soul originally came out straight to Disney Plus in December 2020 when movie theaters weren't doing much business. But then Turning Red and Luca came out straight to Disney Plus in 2022 when theaters were back open. I mean, there were some spikes in COVID infections even after vaccines became available, but I was like, still, come on, put them in theaters, and I think you'll get some cash flow. But they're back now. I watched Soul and Turning Red when they came out to Disney Plus, but I was happy to go see them again on the big screen. Luca, I'd never gotten around to watching it on Disney Plus, and now it looks like my first time will be going to see it in the theater. So if that sounds like a good idea to you, I agree. Make sure you fit them in before they go away. And then Warner Brothers, I mentioned, I think this is just a 1 week only deal. We'll see if it gets extended. The ticket sales so far that I've seen have been strong. They're re-releasing Tenet, which was a really kooky during the pandemic. I mean, it was supposed to come out summer of 2020. I was like, ooh, that doesn't look like a good idea. And then I think Warner Brothers wanted to send it straight to streaming. It was like Christopher Nolan was like, no, this has to come out on a big screen. And then I think it did come out around Labor Day 2020 and stayed in theaters for a while because there wasn't much else out. But not everyone was willing to go to theaters then, obviously. And it was just like, oh, we should have just... I know I feel, and a lot of people feel like it should have just waited until it was safe to go back to the theater and then release it, just whenever that was. But it's coming back to theaters February 23rd. So this podcast will be dropping February 25th, so it'll already be out. And the plan is to have it in theaters for just a week, and they'll show some preview footage of Dune Part 2. So if you're listening to me now and you haven't seen Tenet in the theater yet and you want to, make sure you go take care of that quickly. And it's going to be in IMAX and 70 millimeter, so big fancy stuff. You know how Christopher Nolan does it. Oh, and then the final thing I want to mention, my biggest TV obsession of 2024 thus far is this game show on Fox hosted by Rob Lowe called The Floor. I think I talked about it a little bit on our Emmy recap episode. I was give a little description of it. It's this trivia game show where each of the contestants, I think they started with 81 and they're gradually winnowing down to one big winner at the end of the season. Each contestant is an expert in their own particular category, and they face off with each other. One of them defends their area of expertise, and someone else challenges them to that, and you inherit the area of expertise of the person you defeat, and see if you can defend that subject as well. And it's basically just like a quick-fire identification game. Like, they show pictures of people. If the category is Oscar winners, they'll show pictures of various actors, and you just have to identify them. Or if the category is fruits, they'll just show pictures of fruits. You have to name what they are. And it's been pretty exciting. I wasn't sure about it at first. The commercials made it look kind of complicated, but I figured it out after one episode. And I think if you're a game show fan like I am, you will be able to figure it out pretty quickly as well. So I think it's on Hulu the next day if you need to stream it. But the season finale came quick. I believe is airing February 27th. It's Tuesday. I think it's going to get renewed for a second season. It seems like I think it's been received pretty well. So I'll wrap it up that way. Check out The Floor. That'll be my final note. Our next time on the mic, it'll probably be our Oscars recap episode, because that's coming soon, March 10th, I believe. And so we have Aunt Beth and I have our annual reaction to Hollywood's Biggest Night. So we'll make sure we do that once again. I've got some ideas for Karaoke Corner episodes. I've got some people I'd like to speak to about that. I think it's been a little while since I've done one, so hopefully I can get to that one not too far in the distant future. But as always, keep your remotes handy and your eyes open. And follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can support us on Patreon if you like. And I'll say it again, you get a double sign-off here keep your remotes handy and your eyes open.